We have a massive Texans trade update with a potential trade up in play. 2 days before the NFL draft, if any team is going to be aggressive, it's got to be Houston. Now is the time. Nick Caserio can go out and get a top-notch weapon, an offensive lineman. I don't hate the fact of trading up. You have to look at this as a logical standpoint because the Texans need to win now. They have their all-star quarterback. Well, not all-star yet, but CJ Stroud, sophomore season, he's a great quarterback. New offense for Nick Caley and the team. What do you do in the draft? You got to re-identify yourselves and go ahead and trade up for a wide receiver. At least that's what I think we should do. There's rumors about it. Let's get into it. But first thing, 88% of you watching right now are not subscribed. If you want to stay up to date with the most recent Texans news, this is the channel. This is the place to be. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate all the support on all the past videos. It's been a couple days, but we're back. 2 days. Draft's full effect. It's in full swing. I still don't believe the Texans trade up, but it's fun to antagonize. It's fun to play around with. And there's a good possibility Nick Caserio being a very aggressive general manager. He's done it before. Whether it's trading up or trading back, they're going to be specific with who they pick. Whether that's how they kind of took the offseason, trading Laremy Tunsil. You had Deshaun Watson, you got 3 first-round picks for him. Nick Caserio knows what he's doing. And I'd put him up there with one of the better GMs in all of football, probably right next to Howie Roseman. So, although outside of the Texans fans, it may seem like, oh, Tunsil trading your best offensive lineman, what are you doing? They have a plan. Now, right now, there's 3 veteran kind of tackles in terms of the presence of the offensive line. Left tackle is Cam Robinson. Left guard is Laken Tomlinson. And then right tackle, you have Trent Brown. So you definitely have to get a couple more depth pieces. And while the Texans are kind of widely expected to take offensive lineman Kelvin Banks, there's a likelihood he might not be there. Now, the rumors are saying, hey, why not trade up 20 if Banks is still there? Go out and get yourself your future dominant left tackle, your blind side tackle for CJ Stroud. Because the veterans that they signed on one-year contracts, they're not the long-term answer. So I don't disagree with getting a tackle for the long term. However, we've seen wide receiver quarterback connections at college transition to the NFL. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. A little late in the making, but Derek Carr, Devontae Adams. And there's a lot of players that don't get to play college, quarterback, NFL. It's very rare that it happens. But in the case that it has happened in recent years, I think it's a great idea to target Emeka Egbuka because you look at the type of connection they had in college. Yes, Stroud's been in the league for 2 years. Egbuka's been playing there. But there's a likelihood he can fall. Now, do I think the Texans trade up? Not a chance at all. Is it a good idea? Maybe, for the right price. Non-quarterbacks trades do happen. Do you trade up for an offensive tackle? I don't believe so. I don't see the value in that. If you give up a second-round pick next year, I know you want to win now, but it's like, what does that get you, right? I would rather you go ahead and trade back, but let's go with the trade-up scenario first. So you trade up for Kelvin Banks. You go running back second-round, Travion Henderson, Joshua Farmer. Yeah, you need a defensive tackle. Pat Bryant with the other third-round pick, but where is your other interior offensive lineman? Yes, Laken Tomlinson can be the good bridge guy, but I'd rather have a veteran to coach somebody up, right? To coach a younger guy. And when you have Trent Brown as kind of some people don't think he'll start. I think he'll start the year because Blake Fisher, in the games he played last year, he was a little shaky. But second year for Blake Fisher, he can learn behind Trent Brown, who was good on the Patriots back in his days. But, the injuries have kind of gotten to it. My point here is you need an interior guy. You need a tackle. You need a guard. You need a wide receiver. You need a running back. You need a tight end. You need a defensive lineman just because your players are getting older. Specifically, your offensive line is old. You have 33 for Laken Tomlinson, 30-plus for Trent Brown, 29, I think, for Cam Robinson. Don't quote me. But I'd much rather look at, hey, let's trade back to 28. It's not anything crazy, 25 to 28. Only 3 spots. But you get Tyler Booker, if he falls. Jaden Higgins, don't mind that. I know he's a taller receiver, but I'd rather Trey Harris or somebody shiftier who can be a good number 2 wide receiver. I like Higgins, but I think I like his counterpart at Iowa State. There's a lot of ways you can go with wide receiver. Early, I don't mind it. First or second round, not a terrible idea. But you could also kind of wait until the third round and get a Tez Johnson, who I think is kind of a perfect fit for the Texans, considering He can be the number 2 to DeMeco, but I don't think Texans wide receiver is one of their bigger needs unless you have an Ibuka that drops. Because right now, Nick Caserio signed Justin Watson. He signed Braxton Berrios. He's got Christian Kirk in the slot because there's going to be some movement around the wide receiver 2 spot. They could draft somebody in the 3rd round like Kyle Williams, and they might not start him. It might be harsh to hear, but it might be the reality of the situation. You look at the Texans. They have Justin Watson. Maybe they'll start him a few weeks. And I think right now the biggest need is offensive line. Do they trade up? They very well could. I don't necessarily think it's the best idea. However, you trade back, you get some depth, you get your tackle in Kelvin. Well, if you trade back, you're probably not going to get Kelvin Banks, but you could get a Conley, you can get a couple guys. It's just a matter of who is available. Now, I did this mock draft. The Texans, Emeka Egbuka fell to 25, and we've seen some drafts now where he's fallen, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. But if Houston is widely expected to take an offensive lineman, why trade up? I know Kelvin Banks is probably a cornerstone tackle, but I don't think it's much of a game changer. I know it might sound bad, but Kelvin Banks is probably a future cornerstone left tackle. And trading up to 17, it's not the end of the world because you do have a couple things that you can do in terms of the way you want to go about this draft. And this is the problem with how you're going about this draft. Do you trade up for somebody in Kelvin Banks who you're confident can be the guy, or do you just stick at 25 or trade back and get an interior offensive lineman, get a tackle in the 2nd round in Ursi? There's a lot of depth in this draft, and you need a lot of positions. So I like the trade-up idea for Kelvin Banks, but I also don't know, depending on what they give up. It was a 2nd-round pick, I think it was mocked. So trading up 4 spots, especially late in the 1st round, not a terrible idea. But when you're looking at it from a standpoint of what is your most position of need, it's definitely offensive line. I go back to this comment because it makes me wonder. Nick Caserio on drafting best player available rather than need. Free agency, trade activity, set stage for NFL draft. Texans need either offensive line or receiver. And if you go offensive line in the 1st round, it almost tells you that I don't think the Texans go wide receiver in the 2nd. I know it's a lot of speculation, but stay with me. Offensive line, great. But I feel like if you go out and get Emeka Egbuka, that is a game changer. Or if you just want to go balls to the wall and say, hey, this is the draft, I'm confident in this team, you can literally say, I'm gonna be this aggressive general manager. I'm gonna go out and get the players that I want, whether it's Egbuka, whether it's Conley from Oregon, or Josh Simmons, or whoever you want to go get. It's the 1st round and the 2nd round, especially, are where you get your star players. But you don't want to just trade up for a guy who turns out to be a bust years down the line. But that's where I question trading up. Although Kelvin Banks is a great talent, you want to make sure you get the right talent. And I think you can't really go wrong with a wide receiver in the 1st round like Emeka Egbuka, like CJ Stroud talks him up as much as he is. So there's still a lot to look forward to for the Texans, but it's a question of who do they take. I'd love for them to just stay put at 25. If Egbuka's there, pull the trigger. I don't think he is. I think Kelvin Banks goes around the 15s, the 18s. I don't think it's smart to trade up. You have a lot of other guys. Tyler Booker you're interested in. Donovan Jackson, who they met with, who they should meet with again. But overall, it's a solid progress that if the Texans do trade up, it'll be interesting to see. But I'm not necessarily sold on the idea of trading up. Let me know in the comments. It's definitely a difficult situation, but there are rumors the Texans have been aggressive in the past. Nick Caserio, so I don't hate the idea, but I just don't think it's ideal, especially depending on what you want to give up. I'd rather trade back, get a Donovan Jackson, get a Tyler Booker if he's there, or a Josh Conley. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. I think it is Conley. Anyway, this is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm losing my wits about me. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Texans potentially trading up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This has been Mike Zanetti, Texans Digest. We'll see you for the draft on Thursday. In the meantime, videos will be out. Can't wait for this season, and we'll see you in the next video.